Hey, this is Chris Fraser, and I'm making this video because it's the very end of ADHD Awareness Month. And I'm shooting this video on the 28th, and the 28th is when this video is due. Um, there's an organization that's asking for videos from adults and children with ADHD. And so in true ADHD style, it's the last day, and I'm actually sitting down and reaching out to you because I could not shoot this video. And many of us with ADHD, that's me, Chris Fraser, I'm a therapist, but I'm also a ADHD adult. And a lot of times we find ourselves at the last minute, you know, time management, organization going, oh no, and then we don't do things that are important to us. So my video is going to be about a crucial aspect of being a person who's been labeled with ADHD or notices that they have these traits. And that message is, how do we slow down and have self-compassion? How do we have compassion, meaning caring for ourselves, for the struggles we have? How do we do that? You know, I didn't choose ADHD, and neither did any of you. I didn't ask for like a big scoop of ADHD with some sprinkles of anxiety and a little bit of depression on top, yummy. I didn't order that up. It's not your fault. And when I was a kid, I thought if I just tried harder to pay attention, to stay organized, wow, what's wrong with me? So as you're sitting here, you're going, well, so what's this have to do with anything? Well, you're not broken. I'm not broken. We didn't choose these traits. All of a sudden, we were born into this world, and we sit down in schools, and these days we're on screens, and we really can't focus because we're going, oh my gosh, how do I focus on this teacher in this little box? And I have all these distractions, and sometimes I have other things like my Nintendo Switch I can play under here and then get in trouble for looking down. So you should know, and many of you will have heard different stories, but they're just stories about what ADHD is. So when I was in high school, I struggled just like I did in elementary school and middle school. And I had a friend, he and I had ADHD traits. And we were walking down the hall, and I remember talking to John, and we're at the very end of the hall. I remember it near my history class. And I said to him, hey, John, if we lived during hunting and gathering time, we'd be king of the hill instead of the bottom of the heap. And he said, man, you're right, because back then, you constantly had to scan your environment. You had to be moving at all times. You had to be we were both athletes. You had to be very nimble and able to move very quickly. And it stuck with me. It stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, if we were hunters, like in the primitive times, we would be surviving. We wouldn't be the guy who just each day is trying to get through the day and not get in trouble and not sit still and forget their homework and leave it in the car or whatever and then getting in trouble over and over again. Well, 4 years later, or maybe 5, I came across a book with my idea in it, Hunters in a Farmer's World, A Different Perception by Tom Hartman. And I was too ADHD at the time to be able to focus my thoughts and write these things down and follow through on them and all the executive functioning they talk about to be able to sit there and do that. So Tom Hartman in his book said the same thing. He said, you know what? ADHD is really a difficult time paying attention to boring crap. So a bored hunter was a dead hunter because a hunter had to always be constantly scanning his environment, trying to find ways to produce food for himself and his family. They had to constantly be on it all the time, focusing on that thing that could feed them, switching from that little rabbit to the caribou so they would survive. They needed to be distracted in order to survive. So I'm telling you all this so you can stop beating yourself with a crap stick. So in the modern world, we're more like farmers. You have to sit still longer at now and focus on boring crap more than any other time in history. And right now my wife's walking around above me in the upstairs, and it's distracting the heck out of me. And so I'm really trying to bring my focus back. My mind's like, is it a robber? No, it's my wife walking around, but her little clickety shoes up above me right now is really distracting me. So I'm really bringing my mind back to focus here on what I'm hunting, is getting this message to you. So I mentioned the crap stick. In the farmer's world, you have to plant. You got to wait for the little seed to grow. You can't run off in the middle of the day. You can't, say, there's a big caribou, and then come back 3 days later and your crop's never been planted. So here's how it started. People go, why are there so many ADHD people? Well, you think about, there's a guy or a gal or them who actually had a really difficult time hunting. Crappy hunter, right? So one day, this person decided, maybe there's a better way. And she was such a horrible hunter that they noticed, hey man, hey gal, look over there. There's something growing out of my crap. There's a seed. It's pretty disgusting, but I think it's sort of funny and it makes a point. There's something growing. Oh my goodness, there's a plant, it's an edible plant. We can actually plant seeds in shit and grow food. And that's where agriculture came. That's where farming and agriculture came from. So then they developed a whole different temperament of people. You can support more people on agriculture than hunting. So therefore, farmer society grows and grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. The hunters slowly die out, large army versus little army. And so, just that being said, whether you buy that explanation or not, the fact is that ADHD traits, switching here, what's that? What's my dog doing? What's my wife doing talking upstairs? I didn't think she was going to be here. It served a purpose, so you would never get snuck up on. So you would always be moving and scanning. You're not defective. It served a function. You're not like some freak of nature that ended up here by accident. So think about it now. All this sitting still, paying attention to boring stuff. And what do they tend to do? They want to medicate us. Give us a pill. And yes, it can help. It speeds up that prefrontal cortex and gets the blood flow, and so you can sit there and go. But there's other ways besides that. Yes, medication can be helpful. And it can be chosen as fast-acting stimulant medication. But there's more than just medication. Because when you're off the medication, if you have only pills and no skills, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But the number one thing we need to do is learn how to, when we do fall down, walk in the woods. Imagine we're walking in the woods. We don't have to be cave people to walk in the woods and still be out there and scan our environment, take in the beauty. So imagine walking in the woods and we fall down. You and I, group of us, we all fall down. There's a big, huge stick. We fall down over it. Now everybody else gets up, but a few of us with ADHD go, man, I'm always distracted. I always fall down. And we take that big stick and we bam, bam, we beat the crap out of ourselves. And it, bam, bam, knocking our teeth out. People go, what are you doing that for, man? What are you doing that for, gal? Why are you doing that? And I say, I got to beat the crap out of myself with a stick. I got to beat the shit out of myself with it so I can learn. They're going, you're hurting yourself. Why are you doing it? I have to learn. I have to beat myself up so I stumble over sticks all the time. And if I don't beat the crap out of me, then you knock your teeth out. I got to hurt. But that's what we do. And as ADHD folks in the farmer's world, a methodical world, we fall down a lot because it's set up in a way where you have to pay attention to boring crap more than any other time. The ADHD label should not be ADHD. It should be difficult time paying attention to boring crap, right? That's pretty long. I'm sure the DSM-3, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, will like, oh yeah, difficult time paying boring, yeah, right. No, we want to make you sick. You're not sick. We're not sick. We have strengths and abilities, but we're going to fall down. But if we lay on the ground and beat the crap out of ourselves with a crap stick, bam, crap all over you, man, crap stick. So when we drop the crap stick and we pick up self-compassion like I started talking about, that means how do you coach yourself like a good friend, an understanding person who picks you up versus beats you down. You can't learn when you're getting the crap beat out of you if you're get eaten by a grizzly. Try to do it like if you're attacking yourself. Oh, you suck, right? But picking yourself up. I have a good friend who has ADHD, and he might listen to this. We were children. We both had ADHD and dyslexia. And we pick each other up. And sometimes I think about what he'd tell me and tell it to myself, because the first thing that happens is we attack ourselves. And even that's not our fault. That's a primitive thing. If you couldn't get away from a predator, you would attack it. If you see something in yourself you don't like it, you attack it. So how do we drop that crap stick? Imagine what our best friend would tell us. It doesn't come natural. That's why we have to train it up. Doesn't mean that we like let ourselves off the hook. I was talking to a mother about this yesterday with her son, and she goes, "Oh, is it making an excuse?" I go, no, it's not making excuses. It's choosing kindness versus criticism. As children, you didn't say, your parents didn't say, you fell down too many times, just give up on walking. The child goes, yeah, this is pretty rough. I don't think I'm going to do this. No. Oh, you good, you're walking, right? They didn't say, you suck, give up walking, right? So, if you take anything from this video, look into the work of self-compassion. Paul Gilbert, over in England, the father of compassion-focused therapy. Chris Germer and Kristen Neff here in the United States, mindful self-compassion. Dennis Tersch, Russell Colts, Tobin Bell, Stan Steindl, Chris Irons. Look up these folks' work, and many other people, many, I can't even mention them all. Yes, Marcela Matos, Haley Quinn, many, many other folks, Isabella Bouffe in France, many other people. Look at their work. How do we pick up that compassion? Instead of punching, how do we give ourselves, and then start again? And we'll fall down, but we have this beautiful gifts in us, these ADHD superpowers. Look at many of the folks that really have changed the world. Most of the inventors, musicians, artists, creative geniuses in the engineering world. Yeah, look at their childhood. Read the stories. Edison, Tesla, Louisa May Alcott, Little Women, man. Check it out. So I know I put a lot out there today. So one, self-compassion. It's not your fault. There's a function, there's a reason we're ADHD. It served a purpose. Hunters in a farmer's world. How do we live according to a way that we can survive? And drop beating ourselves for not being a farmer. Utilizing our strengths, doing the things that are in us, that we're called to do. We all have these abilities. There's no stupid people. And then getting with other people and joining together, supporting each other. Join your local CHAD chapter, Children and Adults with ADD. Joining together, changing the label, getting up again and again with kindness instead of criticism. That's what I try to do each day. And that's what I'm trying to do right now, is spreading that to you. So take care. ADHD awareness, just be aware. And the last thing, I've been really mindful here. We'll talk about that too. Mindfulness training for ADHD. How do you train your mind to notice when it's distracted and bring it back? And when you bring it back, instead of punching yourself, God, I was distracted, oh, I'm so stupid, is bringing it back with kindness again and again. And doing it this way, you will be the best version of yourself and contribute to the world. And the world needs you. All right. Love to you all. Take care. ADHD Awareness Month 2020. On the last day, created this video for all of you and for me too. See ya.